Hey, let's pivot and talk about the state of American democracy, but we already are talking about the state of American democracy. But I want to talk about President Biden's speech at the McCain Institute yesterday. It was quite something to behold, in part because he really hasn't spent a lot of time going directly at Donald Trump and his record on on democracy issues. Peter, you were there with the president. Give us a brief encapsulation of what he said, and then I want to ask Ann what it all means.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, look, he has talked about the fate of democracy several times last year. He really hasn't done it this year, and he's basically, been spending the summer trying to promote his own economic record, Bidenomics, as he likes to call it now, and hasn't gotten him anywhere. The approval numbers haven't changed. The poll numbers suggest he's still tied with Donald Trump in a rematch if it happens next year. And so they need to draw the contrast. They need to scare voters, in effect, that a Trump election victory would be bad, not just because you don't like his policy, but be bad for the country and the very tenets of democracy that we have subscribed to for 200 some years. And so he gets up there yesterday in Tempe, Arizona, and he says, look, this isn't just I disagree with him. This is a guy who talks about the death penalty for his own former top general. This is a guy who threatens NBC by saying that they are guilty of treason. This is a guy who promotes violence and nihilism, to use Ann's great word. And he is a threat. He doesn't believe in the Constitution. He believes in retribution. Of course, that again is Donald Trump's word.
Right. Before we go to Ann, I want you to watch something. This is from General Milley's retirement ceremony today, where he went a bit off script, but right at this subject. Let's listen to what General Milley said.
We don't take an oath to a king or a queen or to a tyrant or a dictator. And we don't take an oath to a wannabe dictator.
That last line.
Who could that be?
Yeah, no, I was going to ask you, who's he talking about? It seems overly harsh toward Biden. But it was interesting because in the last week or so, Donald Trump has attacked Milley directly and incited violence against General Milley. Talk about this moment where you have the former president actually demanding, in a kind of way, almost demanding the death penalty for the now former chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and what it means and why Joe Biden is so worried about this.
So Milley is a symbol or a spokesman, if you will, for a broader group of people, and that is the group of neutral civil servants, public servants, members of the military, people who serve the United States no matter who the president is. And it's this sort of layer of people with kind of bipartisan loyalties or loyalties to the Constitution. I mean, they may vote one way or the other, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to them who's running the country, they're still loyal to the country. And that idea that there is such a group of people, we've all come to take it for granted, that those people exist and they'll always be there, and there'll always be people who are measuring the pollution in the water, and the person who does that job is someone who knows about pollution. It's not somebody's cousin, who's a kind of party member, and that there is this neutral, and an attack on that group of people is really what Trump is beginning to prepare. It's whether it's Milley, whether it's the bureaucrats, whether
the head of the FBI,
whether it's the head of the FBI, it's a series of institutions. You're also hearing this on the farthest right part of the Republican media as well, and this is unbelievably dangerous. And this actually puts the U.S., I think, in a different world, actually, even from other democracies that are challenged right now, because the idea that you would replace that group of people with partisan hacks or you would bring back the patronage system that we had here in the 19th century would be unbelievably damaging. I think that's important. I think also the fact that Biden chose to make that statement about Milley and about democracy more broadly at an event in honor of John McCain was really important. And in other words, he was saying, this idea that I'm talking about isn't my partisan view. It's not that people who are big D Democrats or small, we're all Democrats. We all believe in the country, us and the Republicans. And he clearly doesn't want the idea of democracy to become something partisan,
Right.